Today we're diving into Thibaut Meurisse's amazing book, Master Your Emotions. Have you ever felt like your feelings just take over? Like they're driving the car and you're just stuck in the back seat? Well, this book is basically a practical guide to grabbing the steering wheel. It's about how to stop being a slave to your emotions and start living a more balanced, intentional life. So, let's get into it.
So, let's just start with the biggest question, the one at the very heart of this book. Are you really in control of your emotions, or are they controlling you? Do you feel like you're in the driver's seat of your own emotional life? Or do you feel more like you're just along for a very bumpy ride, getting thrown around by anger, anxiety, or sadness? This is the core problem we're going to tackle. All right, so to get control, we first have to understand where the problem even comes from. And that journey, believe it or not, starts deep inside our own heads. It's all about our brain's ancient and, frankly, pretty outdated programming.
Okay, so here's a fundamental truth we almost always get wrong. We think our brain's main job is to make us happy. But no, that's not its number one priority. For thousands and thousands of years, its purpose was way simpler. Just keep you alive. And because of that, our minds were programmed with this incredibly powerful survival mechanism that has a built-in negativity bias. It's constantly scanning the horizon for threats.
And this is where it all gets messy. Our ancient brain, it literally can't tell the difference between a real life-threatening danger, like a saber-toothed tiger, and a modern ego-threatening one, like a critical email from your boss. It triggers the exact same fight-or-flight response. We get flooded with stress hormones over things that aren't actually a threat to our survival at all. Getting a one-star review? To our primitive brain, it can feel like being rejected from the tribe, which used to mean death. It causes real, genuine emotional pain.
So we're starting out with an ancient brain that's basically hardwired to overreact. But wait, it gets worse. The modern world has created this whole series of traps that hijack that ancient system and keep us feeling emotionally stuck.
Our society sells us a very, very specific version of happiness, and it's one that's based on constant, easy hits of dopamine. Just think about it for a second. The little ping of a social media notification, that sugar rush you get from junk food, the endless scroll of online shopping, all of these things are designed to be addictive. They give you a quick, short-term spike of pleasure, but they don't lead to any kind of long-term fulfillment. They actually lead to addiction, leaving us feeling kind of empty and always wanting more. And here's another huge trap. Have you ever thought, oh, I'll finally be happy when I get that new car, or that promotion, or, win the lottery? Well, science has a name for why that's just not true. It's called hedonic adaptation. It's our brain's incredible ability to just get used to new situations, good or bad. That amazing rush you get from a big win or a new purchase, it fades. And we pretty quickly return to our baseline level of happiness, and then we're right back to chasing the next thing.
Now, underneath a lot of these emotional traps is our ego. The easiest way to think about the ego is, it's the story we built up about who we are. It's the part of us that craves approval and is terrified of criticism. And that fear, it's really just a modern echo of our ancient brain's fear of being kicked out of the tribe. So when someone criticizes our work, it's our ego that feels attacked, which then triggers that same old survival response and a whole wave of negative emotions.
Okay, that is enough about the problem. I promise, it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is, we are not helpless in this. The book gives us a super practical toolkit, which you can think of like an emotional control panel that lets us take back the controls. The book breaks it all down into 4 main levers you can pull. First up, your body. You can actually change your physical posture to change your mental state. Second, your thoughts, which is all about reframing the stories you're telling yourself. Third, your words, using powerful language to shape how you feel. And fourth, your breathing, consciously calming down your entire nervous system. Let's take a look at a couple of these in action. This quote from social psychologist Amy Cuddy just nails the power of that first lever, your body. Her research is famous for showing that just holding a power pose, like standing tall with your hands on your hips, for just 2 minutes can actually increase your confidence and decrease your stress hormones. It's wild. Your posture can literally change your brain chemistry. So the next time you're feeling insecure, start by changing your physical stance.
Now that fourth lever, your breathing. This might be the most powerful, immediately accessible tool you have. When you consciously slow down your breath, it has this profound calming effect on your nervous system. You can even use it like an emotional emergency brake. By slowing your breath down to just 1 cycle per minute, that's a slow 30-second inhale and a 30-second exhale, you can dramatically calm down feelings of anxiety and fear anytime, anywhere.
So pulling those levers is great for managing emotions in the moment. But what about all the old baggage we carry around with us? This next section is all about the art of learning to release those repressed emotions, instead of just letting them build up and cause problems down the road. Okay, this is a beautifully simple but incredibly profound technique for emotional release. When you feel a negative emotion bubbling up, like anger or resentment, just stop and ask yourself these 3 simple questions. First, could I let this feeling go? The answer is pretty much always yes, you could. Second, would I let it go? This question is about your willingness. And third, when? The only answer is now. By just walking through this simple process, you give yourself permission to release the emotion instead of clinging on to it.
So, we've learned how to manage emotions in the moment and how to start letting go of the old stuff. The final piece of this puzzle is the long-term strategy. How to actively condition your mind for more positive emotional states, to make that your default.
This classic quote really says it all. Your dominant thoughts literally condition your brain and shape your default emotional state. It's like building a muscle. If you constantly dwell on worries and fears, you are actively training your brain for anxiety. But, and this is the important part, the reverse is also true.
So how does that conditioning actually work? Well, it boils down to this simple formula. Any strong emotion is built from 3 things: your interpretation of an event, how much you identify with that feeling, and then how often you repeat that cycle. The fantastic news is you can totally hijack this formula for your own good. You can consciously choose to interpret events more positively, you can identify with feelings like gratitude or confidence, and you can repeat that process until that positive feeling becomes your new normal.
So as we wrap up, I really want to leave you with this question. Mastering your emotions, it all starts with the stories you tell yourself. So what is one old negative story, you know the one, maybe it's "I'm not good enough" or "I always mess things up," that you are ready to let go of, right here, right now? Hey, if this breakdown gave you some valuable tools you can use in your own life, please just take a second to like, subscribe, and maybe share it with anyone you think could benefit from taking back control of their emotions. Thanks so much for tuning in.